Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me for episode 2 of the Maritime Witch. Today's topic will be creating your sacred space and stocking your witchy cupboard, as well as the regular show segments, the botanicals, the crystals and gemstones, and the shoutouts. So let's start with your sacred space. What is it? Where is it? And how do you do it? Creating your sacred space allows you to have somewhere to sit in quiet reflection and calm, a place to rejuvenate yourself. It contains things that are personal to you and your journey. Oh, and by the way, I should just mention that my trusty sidekick is also here again for comments, questions, interjections, and scowling as I turn my notes.
And we're about, 6 more episodes from hitting that magic number 8?
Number 8.
Cool.
So anyways, back to your sacred space. You don't have to be a practitioner of witchcraft to have your own special place. Creating this space gives anyone a spot for self-care, self-love, meditation, to get away from the stresses of everyday life. Your space can be anything and anywhere you choose. It can cost a lot or it can cost a little. Everything about this space is you. It's by you and for you. You can keep it sacred to yourself, or you can make it to share with others. Sometimes your sacred space can be just lying in bed and being cozy and relaxed and meditating. Really, your sacred space is only limited by your imagination. If you were with me for episode 1, then excuse a little rehash of my space. So just bear with me as I kind of go through some perhaps repetitive things. My sacred space started taking shape approximately 8 years ago. The second bedroom of our home has a crazy size walk-in closet, and we only ever use the room and the closet for storage. So I cleaned out the closet and with the few things that I had, created this magical little place. Couple of folding chairs and decorated it with just the very few things that I had. And eventually, it didn't take too long before it became cluttered and overwhelmed. I started to outgrow the space. And thankful for my ever supportive husband and best friend.
Oh, you're too kind.
He encouraged me to move out into the spare room itself. So the Zenden walls are painted Valhalla. Both the color and the name spoke to me. That was a very important detail that I wanted to have to create my energy. It's a bold color and definitely not in my wheelhouse, but I decided to be brave. It was a great decision, although I don't recommend that you look too closely. Painting is not my forte. I'm not a patient person. So when I get an idea, I just want it done. I started off with the paint tape and the cutting in, and by the time I got to, I think, wall number 3, like the paint tape was on the floor and I was just slapping paint on, and I thought I could just, be really neat and tidy with a smaller brush. But anyways, like I said, don't look at the corners because it's not pretty. I haven't mastered the wiggling my nose thing to have things done perfectly yet, so. So the room was empty, walls were painted, it was time to move in. The Zenden has been and will continue to be ever evolving. And to be honest, unless I dug up some old pictures, I couldn't even begin to tell you what it looked like when I started. I do remember when we were filling the Zenden, from the paint to the rug to the furniture, that every tiny treasure was like an exciting treasure hunt. I remember we went into a discount store. I was looking for chairs. I was having a very difficult time finding the perfect chairs. And we went into this discount store and I saw one chair. And then I found a matching chair. And that's what I wanted. I wanted 2 chairs. And they were a little banged up, but it was like the only items in the entire store that weren't priced. And so I found the girl that worked at the store, and I asked her, I said, how much are these chairs? And I can't remember. She said it was like I could have both of them for $10 or $12. And I was just like, okay, grab those. And we only had a small car, so we couldn't get both chairs in at the same time. We were in the valley, in the Annapolis Valley of Nova Scotia, and our car was already full of shopping and groceries from the day. So we had to load up one chair and take it to my mother's and then come back and get the other chair. So it was a process, but it was just so much fun. Like I said, it was like a treasure hunt. And once I'd set my intentions, the universe just seemed to put everything in my pathway. Discount stores, secondhand stores, yard sales are great places to pick up items that become unique to your space. Some of the items I started with no longer serve my needs. So when that happens, I fill a box and pass it along to someone else who can find purpose for them. I'm a rearranger, so it seems like every time people come over, they're like, "Oh, you rearranged the Zen den again." But it's a constant work in progress. I do want to mention, however, that this has been an ongoing process. I didn't just have this well of unending money that allowed me to do this all at once. Some items I've had since childhood. Others are what I've collected over the years. And a lot has been gifted to me by friends and family. So with the ever-evolving Zen den, my plan now is to slowly downsize the walk-in closet of craft supplies and have one small dedicated space for that, and then use the remaining space for bookshelves and turn it into my own personal library. I think it would be nice to have a dedicated space for my books where I can organize them and, of course, have room for more. And that way, that will also free up a lot of space in the Zen den itself, especially now that I'm also going to start taking on doing readings in the Zen den as well. According to the research that I've done, 150 to 500 books constitutes a collection, while 1,000 books is considered a respectable library. Now, I'm not sure I have room for 1,000 books, but I think I'm well on my way to a collection. I'm pretty sure that Sean is shaking in his shoes. We've had a little issue over the last 8 years with shelves going up and shelves coming down. I don't even know where the shelves are anymore, so I think they might be buried in the backyard.
If the shelves came down and then went back up, we wouldn't have an issue. The shelves kind of went back up again.
Up and down.
And then came down, and then they went back up again and down. They were in the walk-in closet. I think that's where they started, maybe?
No. Yeah, you're right. They did. They started in the closet.
Yeah, and people at home right now are going, I don't give a rat's patootie where the shelves started.
Yeah, then they went into the spare room for storage, and then they went into the closet. Yeah, anyways, it's just been an ongoing...
True.
Horrible.
We have an understanding now.
We do. We no longer have those shelves.
Yeah.
I don't know where they are, so they're gone.
Make this disappear, would you please?
Oh, well, I love peanut butter sandwiches.
Okay, so getting back to the books, I am completely old school when it comes to a lot of things. I go into the technological and digital age, kicking and screaming, cell phone, camera, cable TV. Books for me will always be in the old school category. I love the feel of a book, the smell of a new book, sitting down. I can't do it digitally. I remember getting the Scholastic book orders in school when I was a kid and always being excited. One thing that was always encouraged growing up was reading. I loved to read as a kid, and that hasn't changed. And that goal of my own reading room will take a long time to be realized. I have a lot of hobbies, and I need to make decisions about which ones I will continue to focus on moving forward in order to even begin this process. So now let's talk about your space. You need to decide where in your home you would like to have a dedicated space that you find comfort in. One piece of advice that I will pass along is I recommend finding an area that doesn't house a lot of negative energy. It's been my experience from when we used to do paranormal investigations. We would have the K2 meters to look for energy. And of course, because I'm old school, I had an analog meter. But it's surprising to see the different things in your home that actually just give off this really dirty energy. I remember doing an investigation. I will talk about this in future episodes, I'm sure, but underneath power lines is a very dirty space.
Yep.
So when you're creating your space, and it's completely up to you, just try to stay away from areas that house your routers, internet connections, and especially fuse panels. For me personally, I do find that it affects the energy of your space. Now, I know we all have electricity in every room. The Zenden has electricity. It's got obviously lights and plugs, but just try to keep it in an area. One thing that really pulls a lot of energy is your refrigerator. So even if you're doing a space that's like on the opposite wall, like on the other side of your refrigerator, I find that energy even just comes right through the wall. So, it's entirely up to you. But I like I said, I do find that it does affect the energy.
Yeah, it's funny because when I remember when I came to you and I said, I want to get a Google Nest because I want to update the place. So, yeah, exactly. So I said...
Old school.
Old school, yeah. So I said, I would like to get the Google Nest, and I suggested having the Google Nest inside the Zenden so you could have some nice music while you're sitting in there with your friends. And you said...
No way. Nope. I'm not really sure how much energy. I've never actually taken the K2 meters or my little analog meter and actually tested the Google Nest. It would be kind of interesting to do that. But the Zenden, like I said, is very low key for energy. It does have an overhead light, but I have a lot of small battery operated twinkly lights. There are plugs, obviously, and definitely like a heater. But as far as sound goes, I have a Bluetooth, but I've never really tested any of those energies. It would be kind of interesting. But I mean, I think the Zenden does exude kind of this calm, magical kind of feeling when you walk in, and it's not overloaded.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to be able to create a space that has no energy.
True.
No dirty energy, I should say. You want good energy, but there's always going to be a certain amount. Unless you're living completely off grid and there's no dirty energy at all.
Yes. And plus, where the rest of the place was going to be so modern, you wanted to keep that far away from that as much as possible.
I did. And actually, we had even discussed, well, we haven't discussed, I have discussed, actually switching the Zenden with our bedroom because our bedroom is actually so much bigger. And of course, the Zenden is ever expanding. And the Zenden is on the back side of the house. So it's nice and cool in the summer, but it doesn't get a lot of sunlight or moonlight. Whereas our bedroom is on the south facing side, which gets a lot of sun and beautiful moonlight when the moon is full. But then that would involve, of course, ripping up carpets. And then the other part of it too is just the dirty energy. I mean, that room is where it pulls in, like our fuse panel is back there, and it's where the internet connection comes into the house. It's probably why I have a lot of nightmares and can't sleep very well, actually. So anyways, got a little off topic there.
That's okay.
Let me find my space.
That's what this episode's all about.
Yes, is creating your space and apparently finding my space. Okay, so you need to decide how big or how small you want to go. Do you want or need an entire room? That's up to you. A tabletop, a dresser top, even a shelf is certainly enough. You don't even have to have a space. That space can, like I said before, it can just be inside your own head. I'm not a good meditator. I haven't really tried all that hard, but I don't sit quietly very well. But Even a box that holds your items will suffice. I've actually seen some secondhand jewelry boxes repurposed. I will actually link some pictures in the Facebook page. If you have an affinity for something special, and I'm sure we all do. I mean, I have an affinity for crows and ravens. So I don't know, maybe I should buy one and actually make my own little mini altar and decorate it and then show everybody what one can look like. But I will link some pictures. I'm getting carried away here. So you can decorate them however you wish. And I mean, you can find them in most secondhand stores, generally quite inexpensive. And again, only limited by your imagination. You can also create a space outside if you find that more to your liking, but you are at the mercy of the elements. Whereas inside, you will always have full access. A space for me outside during the winter of 2015 would not have been the most ideal, since I am probably not quite 5 feet tall and the snow was 6 to 7 feet tall in some places. So depending on where you live, I mean, certainly, you can create an outside space for part of the year if you want to be very based in nature. So smaller spaces also work well if you live in an apartment where your landlord probably doesn't want you painting a room the color of Valhalla, or if you have roommates, because obviously you all have to respect each other's space. And redoing an entire room is obviously more time consuming, and depending on what you plan on including, obviously can be more expensive. But whatever you choose to do and how you do it, I'm sure will prove to be an exciting adventure for you. Like I said, it's like a little mini treasure hunt, going from place to place to place and finding things. And so even though my room is finished, per se, I still look around secondhand stores and antique stores just in case, you always find that something special out there. We are also headed into yard sale season, and you can find a lot of treasures in people's yards, and and try to think outside the box too. Again, only limited by your imagination. And it's amazing what I have seen some people do to repurpose old items.
So when you're finding treasures in people's yards
that you have to pay for, you can't just steal them.
Okay, I just want to clear that. I just want to clear that up.
You can't just take stuff from other people.
Yeah, because even in Nova Scotia, that is illegal.
Yes, it is.
And we do not endorse that.
Unless, of course, it's big pickup. Remember the old big pickup? We're going to get completely off topic here. We used to have like the big pickup days where you could throw out anything and the big garbage truck would come along. And we used to walk around. We had an apartment at the time, and we used to walk around, and we found this old coffee table, and we're just like, they're throwing that out. And we carried it back to our apartment, and we sanded it down, and I painted it black, and it is still in the Zen Den. I mean, that you can stand on that thing. I mean, I couldn't believe the people were throwing that out. So
Yep.
But so if you have that in your area, that's a great thing too.
Yeah.
But if you find yourself wanting to do more of a witch theme, a fantastic place to pick up items is at stores that specialize in Halloween items. When they have their sales on November 1st, most of the time the sales are 70% off. You might not find all of the items that you want. I know I keep an eye on certain items that I want, and then I get to the store and I was just like, yay, it's still there, or oh poop, it's not there anymore. But the universe gives you what you need. So at this point, I am going to stop and move on to the segments of the show. And we will be right back after this.
Science fiction. A world where your imagination has no limits. And you can explore those limitless boundaries at sci-fipulse.net. And check out the SFP Now podcast on iTunes and Spotify. Because if you are listening too, a really good science fiction podcast, well then,
You're listening to SFP Now.
So now we will move on to the botanical section of the podcast.
And the time has come for plants to take back the world so rightfully ours.
So for this week, I have chosen the violet. Its planet is Venus and the element is water. Violets are used for protection, luck, love, wishes, peace, and healing. You can carry flowers for protection. In ancient Greece, violets were worn to calm tempers and induce sleep. And if you want to hop over to the Facebook page, I will have a couple of aesthetics there to tell you a little bit more about the violet. And at this point, we will hop on over to the crystals and gemstones.
I want to rock.
So the gemstone that I've chosen for this week is the emerald because it is the birthstone of May. It is a rich green mineral, originally mined in Egypt and one of Cleopatra's favorites. Now they come from Colombia. They protect wearers from evil, reveal the truth, and cure disease. It also helps with depression and mental health, and is often found in jewelry, rings, bracelets, and pendants. And now let's do the shout out segment of the podcast. So today is Mother's Day, and I would like to say Happy Mother's Day to my mom, Dorinda, and to all of the other great moms out there, and also to the single dads doing mom duty. So the next shout out that I have is actually for an event. It is the Spring 2023 Holistic Healing Fair hosted by Bluestone Magic at the Best Western Plus Bridgewater Hotel and Convention Center at 527 Highway 10, Exit 12, Cookville, Nova Scotia. They do have an event page on Facebook. It is on Saturday, May 20th from 10 until 5 and May 21st from 10 until 4. There is an admission to the event of $2. It's a great event. I have been both a vendor and a customer of this event in the past, and it's a great place to find really wonderful things, and there's usually a lot of readers there if you want to have a reading done as well. So yeah, check that out. So everyone has been very shy and hasn't sent a lot of shout outs in. Actually, nobody has sent any shout outs in. So my next episode will be on May 28th. So if you have any birthdays, events, anniversaries, anything that you'd like me to shout out, encompassing the dates of May 28th and to June 3rd, just drop me a line at themaritimewitch@gmail.com. So now let's talk about stocking that witchy cupboard. What do you need? Well, you don't need anything. Really and truly you don't, but it's nice to have some really cool stuff. There are a lot of tools of the trade for practicing witchcraft. The athame, the bell, the besom, the cauldron, censer, chalice, pentacle, wands. Some really great stuff to have is, of course, jars and crystals. Great to have your own book of shadows, divination tools, cards, crystals, scrying bowls and mirrors, incense, candles, all kinds of little chests and treasure boxes. But you don't need any of that stuff. You can forage through the forest for nothing poisonous, as we covered in episode 1.
I just like how you say forage.
Forage. And, you know, you can make your own wand and out of fallen twigs. I have actually fashioned my own staff with a stick that I found in the woods. The seaside, again, the ocean side is a perfect place for shells and rocks and cool little treasures. But, it's entirely up to you whether you want to purchase those things. Some of those things you're not going to find at a yard sale. Unless you're really, really lucky. I have not. I was really, really lucky in one aspect. I remember we stopped at a yard sale and I found 2 very old brooms. Like they were ancient brooms. I'll actually take a picture and post them on the Facebook page. And I think I got them for like $5. I was so ecstatic. But that was like a really neat find. You don't really find that stuff when you're out and about. So stocking your witchy cupboard. Now, there are stores that do specialize in metaphysical and witchcraft supplies. And when I return in 2 weeks' time, I will be discussing some special little shops that are in and around my area, who they are, where they are, and what they offer. So I hope you join me on May 28th for that. So until we meet again, may the universe find you safe, happy, and healthy. Blessed be.